The New York Jets, they ended their 5-game losing streak last week, and now in Week 15, they will visit the Dolphins as they look to make it 2 straight wins. New York Post Jets beat writer Brian Costello, he will be at the game in Miami, but for now, he's going to join us for a little preview of Jets-Dolphins. Brian, how's your week been?
It's been all right, Dexter. How's yours?
It's been good. It's been good. I was inspired by you last week since you had a great key, which was that the Jets needed to score touchdowns. I'm intrigued to see what your keys will be this week.
Listened.
And they listen. They got to listen to Costello more. That's what's going to happen. Brian had 1 key last week, and it appeared to have worked. But that's not how it works. But we'll get to the keys later. Brian, heading into this game against Miami, you've been around the team, as you obviously are. What's the mood of this team coming off the victory that we saw last week? And do you get the sense that the offensive outburst that we saw against Houston might have rejuvenated this team, at least a little bit?
Yeah, I think there was a sense of relief, Dexter. Like, the pressure eased up a little bit, as you're losing week after week, and the way they were losing with not scoring touchdowns, the pressure was building. And, we had talked about, would this team lose 10 straight to end the year? We remember last year how the season ended with 6 straight losses. So getting that win last week was huge, just to kind of take the pressure off a little bit. And I thought they were much more relaxed this week, and the offense has some confidence now. They went out and scored 30 points in the second half, after barely being able to score touchdowns for the previous, I don't know how many weeks it was. So, I do think they gained something from last week's game. But, Dexter, the NFL is funny. If you watch that Thursday night game, the Raiders score 0 points against the Vikings and then come out and score 63 the next week. Things don't always carry over week to week. So I'm curious if with the Jets, if it does.
That is a fantastic point. You're right. Things can change from week to week. But when you talk about that offense, can't believe we're saying this because we haven't said this all season, but Zach Wilson. He was impressive in last week's victory over Houston. He was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week. I think you would agree with me on this. He still has to show more. But should the former overall number 2 pick, should he be with the team beyond this season? Should the Zach Wilson experience continue beyond 2023?
I don't think so, Dexter. I wrote that this week. Seemed to anger a lot of people with writing that. I think we've seen enough from Zach. He's played 33 games here. Sunday was memorable. It was his best game as a pro. But there's a lot of other games that we saw from Zach where he didn't look like the guy. And we've talked about it all season. Did they make a mistake having him as the number 2 behind Aaron Rodgers this year? Would they have won more with somebody else? Now it's funny to me, one good game, and people are saying, oh, bring him back for next year. I think there's a chance he's back next year just because of he's under contract. So, there's an $11 million cap hit associated with him next year. But to me, the Jets need to move on. Zach needs to move on. Everybody kind of needs a clean break, and they should find somebody else to be the number 2 next year.
All right, we'll see what the Jets do at quarterback in 2024. But this week, tall task for the Jets. They are big underdogs against the Fins. Here we go, Brian. Keys to the game. What are the keys to the Jets getting a win against Miami this week?
Scoring touchdowns is still number 1, Dexter, but I'll add a little bit more this week. I think the Dolphins are going to be run heavy against the Jets because Tyreek Hill, even if he plays, he's questionable right now with an ankle injury. If he plays, I don't think he's going to be 100% Tyreek Hill. So I think the offense will look different for the Dolphins. The Jets have to stop the run. The Jets defense has been terrific all year. The one thing you can poke at them is they have not been great against the run some weeks. And with Raheem Mostert, I'm not sure if Achane will play for the Dolphins. He's dealing with an injury too. They can run the ball. Everyone focuses on Waddle and Hill, but they're able to run the ball. Can the Jets stop the run? And then on the flip side, the Jets need to get the run game going, Dexter. You can't count on Zach Wilson to throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. We need to see Breece Hall get rolling again. He hasn't had a 100-yard game since the Broncos in early October. They haven't had a 100-yard game as a team rushing since the Raiders game a month ago. So can they run the ball on these Dolphins and take a little pressure off of Zach? And I think that would make the offense really hum if they could do that.
Yeah, seeing if the Jets offense can hum for the 2nd straight week. And Brian, appreciate it. More than 1 key this week. Jets fans have to be happy about that. We'll see if the Jets can make it 2 in a row in Week 15 as they visit the Dolphins. Brian Costello, the great Jets beat writer for the New York Post, will be there. Brian, as always, thank you for the time and the keys. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Dex.